I don't think most people who watch porn are chasing pleasure. I think they're chasing relief. Those sound like the same thing, but they're not. Pleasure is something you move toward because you enjoy it. Relief is something you move toward because you want something else to stop. That difference changed the way I understood the habit. Picture someone coming home after a stressful day. Nothing dramatic happened. They're just mentally exhausted. They throw their bag on the floor, lie on the bed, and open their phone. They don't tell themselves, I'm going to watch porn. They tell themselves, I'm just going to relax for a minute. One click becomes another. Half an hour disappears. When it's over, they don't feel refreshed. They don't even feel happy. Mostly, they feel numb. And then comes the familiar promise. This was the last time. A promise they've probably made before. I don't think that promise fails because they don't mean it. I think it fails because they're trying to solve the wrong problem. At first, I thought porn was the habit. Then something changed. I started noticing what happened 5 or 10 minutes before the urge appeared. Almost every time, there was something underneath it. Boredom, stress, loneliness, rejection, anxiety about tomorrow. Even simple restlessness. The urge wasn't arriving first. The emotion was. Porn just became the quickest way to avoid sitting with it. That's why people can quit for a few days, only to return the moment life becomes difficult again. The habit was never only about the screen. It was about what the screen temporarily covered up. But that's not the biggest thing I've noticed. Something even stranger happens. Imagine your phone vibrates every few minutes. Eventually, you stop deciding to check it. Your hand moves before your mind does. Habits work like that. After enough repetition, your brain stops asking, is this good for me? It starts asking, is this what we usually do? That's an important difference. Because if you've repeated the same behavior hundreds of times when you're lonely, your brain begins connecting loneliness with that behavior. Not because you're broken. Because your brain loves shortcuts. It remembers patterns. The more often you repeat one, the easier it becomes to follow. Maybe that's why people feel like they're acting on autopilot. They're not making a fresh decision every time. They're walking down a path their brain has already cleared. I still catch myself looking for easy escapes. Sometimes it's endless scrolling. Sometimes it's watching videos I don't even care about. Sometimes it's refreshing the same app over and over without thinking. It reminds me that this isn't only about porn, it's about how quickly our minds learn to avoid discomfort. Maybe that's why replacing one habit with another rarely fixes everything. If the discomfort underneath never changes, the brain simply finds a different escape. And that leads to something I've been wondering about for a long time. If porn isn't the real destination, if it's only the shortcut, then maybe the real question isn't, how do I stop watching it? Maybe the better question is, what am I trying so hard not to feel? Because the answer to that question is often where lasting change quietly begins. I remember reading a comment from someone who said, I don't even enjoy it anymore. I just keep doing it. That sentence stayed with me because I don't think it's unusual. At first, the habit feels exciting. Then it becomes familiar. Eventually, for some people, it simply becomes automatic. The strange part is that the brain doesn't always repeat what brings the most happiness. It repeats what feels most familiar. That's an important difference. We often assume that if we keep returning to something, it must be because we love it. Sometimes we keep returning simply because we've done it so many times that it feels like the default response. At first, I thought quitting was about becoming stronger than every urge. Then something changed. I started thinking about the moments when people don't feel tempted. When they're deeply involved in a conversation, playing football with friends, working on something they genuinely care about, traveling somewhere new, laughing so hard they forget to check their phone. The urge doesn't disappear forever. But for a while, it becomes surprisingly quiet. That made me wonder if the opposite of addiction isn't constant self-control. Maybe it's engagement. Maybe a mind that's fully present has less room to search for an escape. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect. Because something real is finally holding its attention. But that's not the whole story. Something even stranger happens. Picture someone deciding they're never going to watch porn again. They delete everything. Install blockers, make a promise to themselves. For a few days, they feel confident. Then one difficult evening arrives. They're tired, stressed, alone. Suddenly, every promise feels much weaker than it did a week ago. People often blame themselves for that moment. I have no discipline. Maybe that's true sometimes, but maybe something else is happening too. Willpower isn't the same every hour of every day. It gets worn down. It competes with stress, exhaustion, and emotion. That's why relying only on willpower can feel like trying to hold back the ocean with your hands. The goal isn't to become someone who never struggles. It's to understand that difficult moments require more than determination. They require awareness. I still catch myself trying to escape discomfort in smaller ways. I'll reach for my phone without thinking, open an app, close it, open another, not because I need anything, because my brain has learned that boredom should be filled immediately. I think that's one of the biggest changes technology has brought into our lives. We're becoming less familiar with being uncomfortable. The moment silence appears, we replace it. The moment we're anxious, we distract ourselves. The moment we're lonely, we reach for a screen. Porn is one version of that pattern, not the entire pattern. Understanding that made me stop seeing it as an isolated problem. It became part of a much bigger relationship with discomfort itself. Maybe that's why shame rarely helps. Shame usually tells you that you are the problem. Curiosity asks what the problem is trying to solve. Those lead to completely different conversations. One keeps you trapped in the same cycle. The other gives you room to understand it. And understanding often comes before lasting change, not because it magically removes every urge, because it removes the confusion. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's simply weak. You begin seeing someone whose brain learned a habit that can also be unlearned. At the beginning of this video, I said that I don't think most people are chasing pleasure. I still believe that. I think most people are chasing relief. Relief from stress, from loneliness, from boredom, from the uncomfortable feeling of being alone with their own thoughts. There's nothing unusual about wanting relief. The difficult part is when the quickest form of relief quietly becomes the one you depend on most. Maybe freedom isn't about reaching a day where the temptation never exists. Maybe it's reaching a point where you no longer need that habit to escape every uncomfortable emotion. Because those emotions were never your enemy. They were trying to tell you something. And maybe real change begins the moment you stop fighting the feeling and start listening to what it's been trying to say all along.